Hi, and welcome to Astrology for the People. This is for the new moon in Taurus on Monday the 18th of May at 2:13 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I've got so much to tell you. This is an energy forecast for the next 2 weeks. We're looking at the astrological influences, but much more so we're going to dive a bit into how we can work with those in our lives so that we can flow with the cosmic tides rather than against them. So I'll get into that now for you. Welcome. Okay, so to those of you who are regulars now, welcome back. I love having you back each week. It's really beautiful knowing that I'm speaking to some of the same people down the other end there. And to those of you who are new, welcome also. I can hear myself tripping over my words already. We've got some definite action happening in Gemini. I'm determined to keep it a little bit scaled back in the astrological department this week and really focus on what's going on underneath that. And funnily enough, that's actually quite tied in with some of the themes that I'm going to be discussing. We're going to be taking a little bit of a dive into the underworld. It's exciting, don't worry, there's nothing to fear. As Mercury goes into retrograde, which is on the 19th? Yeah, I believe that's right. It's hiding from me. Yes, it's the 19th. It's been such a big day. It's a time as well to really be looking at how authentic we are in our communication. So as much as I felt myself cringe when that happened, I'm going to make a resolution that this is going to be my only take this week, because there's a time for perfection and there's a time for self-acceptance. And that's a really big theme that's going on at the moment too. But let me pull it back a bit before I get too all over the place, which is another Gemini thing. So we've got this new moon in Taurus. We've got some ongoing themes happening here around personal security. You may find, particularly in your intimate relationships, still a little bit of discord there, maybe particularly around money or around the way that different resources are used, so time, money, etc. And this has been ongoing, and in Taurus we do have the spotlight shone on our personal and financial security. And we also have this new moon happening in alignment with a fixed star, which is Caput Algol. And this star has a little bit of a fearsome reputation. However, it also governs the compassion that becomes available in times of natural disasters. Anyone in Australia, and Brisbane in particular, would have remembered in the 2011 floods the way that people changed, the way that people really responded to the need. And now we have these earthquakes that have taken place in Nepal. When we heard about the second earthquake, it's like, wow. And it's a time, of course, when a lot of charity activities start taking place. A lot of people start stepping up, and there's a lot of reaching out for assistance from the global community. And what that brought me to reflect on, particularly in relationship with this new moon in Taurus, was the information that can be drawn from our reactions to this kind of charitable movement that happens in these situations. I spoke last fortnight about the way that triggers in the world can give us real insight into where our patterns lie. And that definitely holds true now, I feel. One thing that I really wanted to invite reflection around to anyone watching this video, and also to myself, was if someone comes to you, say for example with Nepal, and says, we're raising money to send over to help the victims of the earthquakes, can you give? What then comes up for you? Is there a belief that, oh no, I can't give anything to help because I don't have enough already? It's like, whoa, you don't have enough already, hey? And that's certainly something that myself and others I know have had to look at in the past is, are we carrying around this belief that we don't have enough? And what are our beliefs about riches? What are our beliefs about sharing our resources with others? Do we believe that we will be less for that sharing? Do we believe that we're going to give out and we're not going to receive anything back? So there's a whole host of stuff for self-inquiry around that. And it's going to be a really interesting time, this new moon, to have a little bit of a look at that. The new moon is a really powerful time to reflect and plant seeds for the new cycle. So there's an opportunity, particularly in the 24 hours immediately following. So from 2:15 on Monday through 2:15 on Tuesday. The soil is so fertile at this time to really plant some strong intentions. And some strong kind of, affirmations and ideals for the cycle to come. So even if that's, I'm going to focus on the abundance that I have, and I'm going to be so grateful for the wealth that I have in my life, even though we're having a hard time financially. So it's not about dismissing the reality of any challenges that you're facing, but just recognizing that there's an opportunity for a shift of perspective in that. And it's a really beautiful time to be looking at that. So I'm going to scoot ahead a little bit. I have a limited amount of battery on my phone, which is interesting. I suppose phone battery is another resource. So hopefully Mercury retrograde doesn't jump on me early and cut me off before the end of this video. If so, I'll try and make something witty of it. Mercury retrograde. So we've got that happening from May 19th through to the 12th of June. Now, Mercury retrograde gets a little bit of a bad reputation in traditional astrology because it is a time when plans have the tendency to go a bit awry. Travel can be a little bit kind of clunky. You always want to check that you've got your keys during a Mercury retrograde. However, I feel, and some other astrologers agree with me on this, is that the most challenging times of a Mercury retrograde are actually directly around the stations. So the station retrograde and the station direct. So in layman's terms, I think I explained this in the last video, the Earth and Mercury are moving along. Mercury's still moving forward, but because of the motion of the Earth, it appears to be going backwards, right? I hope that came across okay. It looks like it's going backwards. It's an optical illusion. I'm not functioning very well. So it is when that crossover point happens that things are a little bit clunky, because what happens is our mind goes from being in the solar realm, or, left brain, out in the world, logical, and it moves across. It's almost like it goes through the waves on top of the ocean and goes underwater. And so what we see during a Mercury retrograde period is a lot more creative potential, because we move more into the right side of our brain. And there's also a tendency to be able to see more clearly what's happening under the surface, because of course our logical mind goes down into the underworld. We have a clearer vision of what's happening there. So it's the time when the transition's taking place that's actually the most rocky, really. It has a tendency to be a bit bumpy. Once we're into the retrograde period, it's a really powerful time to review, reflect, reconsider. Anything to do with that is something that's great in Mercury retrograde. It's not an awesome time to be trying to move things forward. If you're rushing around, being busy, trying to achieve linear goals, stuff will probably go wrong. It's a real invitation to slow down, because otherwise you'll be slowed down. So better to do it with an empowered choice. So that's a little bit around the Mercury retrograde. There is more to this one coming up, because it's in Gemini, and Mercury also rules Gemini. There is, once we're in the retrograde, there's the opportunity for some powerful conversations. Now, we want to avoid these couple of days at the start, yes? So from like the 17th of May through to the 20th, 21st isn't such a good time, particularly because we've got a couple of interesting things going on. The Sun's entering Gemini, there's a Mars-Mercury conjunction. It could be a little bit, sharp-tongued couple of days, and there could be misunderstandings. So I would avoid those, having these heavy conversations. But once we're into the retrograde, so you know, from the 22nd for about 2.5 weeks, is a really, really powerful time to be getting to the core of some issues and doing this through communication. Gemini rules communication, so I definitely strongly encourage you to talk to your intimate partner, talk to your friends, own what's going on, and have a little bit of a look at the bigger picture. One of the risks with Gemini is the tendency to get pulled right into the here and now and kind of examine something logically in a vacuum. But what this retrograde is going to allow us to do is go a little bit deeper with that. We've also got Saturn retrograding back into Scorpio. So what we're coming to terms with is the limits of our own power and the need to be able to compromise in relationship and cooperate and work with other people. And the only thing that really gets in the way of us doing that is our own shit. So it's up to us to really go, okay, right, what do I need to let go of in order to be able to create a more productive relationship here? The analogy that I had come to me earlier is that this is kind of like a time where we're in a roller coaster and we're chugging up the tracks up to the top of the peak, I guess, right? So it's this time where we're chugging up, and with the bumps, it's kind of like we've got anything that we forgot to take out of our pockets before we got on the ride is falling away. So it's not like the purification that I spoke of earlier in the year. It is more of a shadowy time though, but the thing about shadow is light casts a shadow, and there's an interrelationship there. The only thing that you need to do with shadow is turn the light on, and the shadow can't stay. And the things in it become visible. So it's not about fighting it or pushing it away or trying to repress it. It's simply about bringing light in and going, oh, wow, I can be really X in this situation, and I wonder why I'm like that. And just having a little bit of a dig. Another thing that came to me was lay down your swords, pick up your shovels. Because there is this Mars influence, and there is the tendency to do some damage verbally if we're not careful with what we say, particularly if we're blaming other people for our own unhappiness, which is of course an illusion, but it's very easy to do. It's very easy to say, oh, the reason that I'm unhappy is this thing that's happening in the world, and you have something to do with that, hence you need to change. And it's like, well, we can't actually get happiness from the outside. Sure, we can, experience worldly pleasures and we can enjoy life. And if something's not resonating with us, it's up to us to do something about that. However, on a deeper level, the contentment and the happiness has to come from the inside. It's us that are standing in the way of that happiness, not anyone else. It's a choice that we need to make. And this has been a really fascinating process of inquiry for me over the last week or so. So yeah, we're chunking up to the top of this roller coaster. We're being invited to leave the baggage behind. The higher we get, the wind is kind of picking up. So you get a little bit of a sense of this energy, yeah, where there are some fast winds. That kind of comes with Gemini. It's an air sign. But that wind is a powerful tool, and that's an energy that can be harnessed. After the next couple of weeks, things are going to speed up rapidly. So we've noticed a little bit of an acceleration. Things are feeling a little bit lighter, but it's almost like we're on our way up, and then all of a sudden Mercury goes retrograde, and it's like, oh, wait, we need to just shed a little bit more stuff before we can really get ready to harness this. And we're going to find ourselves at the top in a couple of weeks' time, and then we're going to start and things are really going to pick up. So this is a really powerful time to prepare for that. It feels a little bit like a preparation and a rite of passage. In mythology, there's the journey into the underworld in order to come back renewed and reborn. And there's a little bit of that energy here, but even more so than that, it's not so much about, radically transforming who we are, but making those subtle shifts in the way that we communicate with others, in the way that we think about things, that can really change our immediate environment, which is also Gemini, recognizing the beauty that's in our immediate environment and also the control we have over the choices we make, and that being the only control that we actually do have. So yeah, that's all kind of rolled out a bit. I hope that went in okay. Yeah, I'm doing this in the evening tonight. I just rearranged my space today, so there's more room for dancing. I'm getting ready for a real bunkering in this next week. I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time alone and doing a lot of reflection and meditation and clearing. It's a good time for doing some clearing work. If you need assistance with that, reach out, you know, not just to us, to anyone who has experience in the healing arts. If you need that support, I definitely highly recommend it. We've still got the North Node in Libra. There are limits to what we can do ourselves, and sometimes it's really, really good just to have someone else to guide us through something. So they're the main things that are going on. I'm just checking in with my notes in case I've forgotten anything. I'm sure I said before, there is a bit of a need to just slow things down because everything is moving faster now. There's a tendency to get caught up a bit in the nervous energy of that. So one thing that I would strongly suggest for the next couple of weeks would be just lay off the technology a little bit. Take a little bit more time just to be present with yourself. Even if it's, 10 minutes in the evening after the kids have gone to bed. You know I'm a big fan of my morning rituals. I encourage everyone to do that. I've been slack with that lately. However, what I have been doing is taking time in the evening after my son goes to bed, because there is more time then, and there is time to just stop and sit and go, okay, let's reflect a little bit on today. What am I feeling? How have I reacted to different challenges that have come up over the course of the day, and how do I feel about those reactions, and what are my choices here? So yeah, big recommendation. Step back on the tech, particularly because it has the tendency to pull us up here. It's crazy because we get very in our heads and we get very hooked into all of that cyber space-ness. It'd be fascinating to see if we could see Wi-Fi signals. It would be scary, the amount that we would just walk through every day. It's like walking through lasers. That has an impact on us. Electromagnetic pollution really has a huge impact on our fields. So yeah, take some time, go within, reflect, review. So I'm going to wrap this up now, and yeah, big love. If you need any support, we're here. The Mercury retrograde will be happening in a house in your chart. So you've got houses 1 through 12, and depending on where it's taking place will depend on where the shadow is really kind of coming to the surface for you. So a lot of you are going to know this. A lot of you aren't going to need guidance around this issue. But if you are wanting to get some clarity around what area that you need to be looking at during this retrograde time, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do like a 15-minute just check on it for you. You don't have to book for half an hour or an hour if you don't want to. I'll come up with something, say like $20 for 15 minutes. That's no worries at all. And yeah, really lovely to be with you again. Don't forget to share and like and subscribe and all that stuff. And I'll be back in a fortnight with some more juicy updates for you. For those of you who I'll be seeing at the energy healing classes on the 20th, I hope you all make it. Total astrologer fail. Can't believe I booked them for that date. But yeah, I feel like it's as it needs to be. So yeah, just make sure you've got your keys. I love you very much, all of you, and I will be seeing you very, very soon. Sit tight. Mwah. Au revoir.